Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Conversations with Chris and Cameron. I believe it's episode 5. Can you believe that already, Cameron?
Yep, 5 in. It's been fun.
It's crazy. Well, we've got a jam-packed show. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Taylor and Kenny visiting Kentucky, along with some interviews from this past week with Mohamed Diabate, Jalen Lowe, and Denzel Aberdeen. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about, though, Kentucky basketball for the most part, also Kentucky football, getting some commits, and you can't forget Jason Wallace and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning the NBA Finals, and also SNGA getting Finals MVP.
Yeah, we got to talk about that for sure. I mean, it feels like it's the sports world right now has just been chaotic as Kentucky fans, but it feels like that's been 3 weeks ago at this point, but it was really only a few days ago. So definitely got to talk about that. Super proud of those guys for sure.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And speaking a little bit about the NBA Finals, I mean, you could say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably one of the best players that have came out of Kentucky. Like the only player that I could think of from the, Cal era is probably Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has won the NBA Finals as well. He doesn't have an MVP or a Finals MVP, but AD is probably the only player that you could compare what SNGA did this past year to AD.
Yeah, I agree with that. The season that he had was historic. Like I think he was one of 4 players all time to have the scoring title MVP and then Finals MVP or something the
Yeah,
same season, and it was like just all the lists that he's now a part of
mhm.
is mind blowing. Considering that he was Quade Green's backup when he was at Kentucky, it's crazy to think about. And then Kaysen, I mean, he started Finals games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible to watch. But yeah, like you said, SGA, he's got to be up there
Mhm.
all time Kentucky greats for what they did in the pros because there's not been a crazy amount win titles because we've been blessed to have a lot of great players that ended up going up to bad teams. But
You're not wrong.
out of the ones that have won titles, he's probably had the biggest impact on the team that he's played on. So
Yeah.
it was super cool to see them finally complete it,
Mhm.
get it done, and it was awesome to watch.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and you're right about 4 players have only achieved that, and first time in 25 years that SNGA achieved what you just mentioned, winning the Finals MVP, uh, NBA regular season MVP, and then the scoring title. So pretty insane to think about.
Yeah, with elite company too. Was it Shaq, Kareem, and MJ? Was that the
Yes, I
company he
believe
was
you're
with?
right about that. Yes.
Crazy, crazy.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And then, of course, who knew, Case and Wallace would immediately make an impact as well with the Thunder because he's good. He was good in college. You're not wrong about that. But my main thing about Case and Wallace was he went to a Thunder who already had a stacked young team, and who knew if he was going to get playing time or not. I mean, Nikola Topic, I think his name is. He didn't even get playing time this past year, and he was like drafted in the first round for the Thunder.
Well, he had something. I don't know if it was like an injury, but there was something where he wasn't able to play.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like the fact that he was a first round pick that they're just going to be adding to their team next year is like unreal.
Yeah, and
It's
we're
crazy.
recording this podcast actually as the second round of the NBA draft is going on. So hopefully we'll see some players get called tonight. We probably won't know until after the podcast, but I could easily see Kobe Bryant and Amari Williams getting drafted and potentially maybe Jackson Robinson as well.
Yeah, right now they keep showing Jay Billis is best available. Kobe Bryant is seventh on that list, so there's a chance that he could do it while we're live, which would be awesome. But
Yeah,
yeah, like you said, Amari Williams, I could see him getting drafted, and I would love, love, love to see Jackson get drafted. It'd be amazing.
so do I, but like I said, he just started out a little bit slow and then his injury, of course. But if he started out hot like he did from SEC play, he would for sure have been drafted, in my opinion.
Yeah,
He
I
could
agree
still
with
get
that.
drafted though. But yeah, so speaking a little bit more about that though, but Jalen Williams, I did not like that guy in college. I think he played at Texas A&M. No, Arkansas. It was
Oh
Arkansas.
yeah,
And
Jay
of
Will.
course, he hasn't been playing at all with the Thunder, but I did not like him. He would just, instead of trying to block shots, he would be, trying to draw charges, and it would just annoy me so much.
Yeah, all I remember about his college career is just that he took charges all the time
You're
at
not wrong.
Arkansas. And so, I mean, yeah, he doesn't obviously play a whole lot, but yeah, I completely get where you're coming from. But at least we didn't have to watch him like ball out or anything in the finals.
You're not wrong, but let's stop talking about the NBA Finals and now talk more about UK. We've got a lot, like I said, to talk about. Go over what Mohamed Diabate said, along with Denzel Aberdeen and Jalen Lowe. So we'll talk about that. And the big thing was, speaking of Jalen Lowe, I mean, Diabate and Denzel Aberdeen both had high praises for Lowe, basically being a true point guard. He'll be able to score if he needs to pass the ball, get assists, he will. And Aberdeen said at one point that him running the floor along with Otegaway and Jalen Lowe is going to be scary. And that's right. It's definitely going to be scary with those three on the court at the same time.
Yeah, no doubt. That three-headed monster is crazy. And yeah, Denzel Aberdeen talked a little bit about it, like his pitch and everything that Pope had. I did think it was super cool whenever he got the first offer and got the call from Kentucky. He said he talked to his dad right away. He was like, "This is the place where I want to be. Like, this is amazing." And he went in and all he did was FaceTime with Pope, but Pope gave him a good pitch on how that backcourt was going to be like set up and how they're all going to play, and it's going to be terrifying for other teams to see.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And you know how long he said the call was?
How long did you say it was? I didn't
Three
I didn't hear.
hours.
3 hours. That's insane.
I know, 3
Man,
hours.
Pope loves his FaceTime though.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And like during those 3 hours, he, went over his game, what he could improve on, what he's already good at, and talking about the university, Mark Pope getting to know Denzel Aberdeen. So that's insane to hear though. 3 hour phone call.
Yeah, a 3 hour call is wild. But yeah, Pope got it done though.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And speaking a little bit more about Jalen Lowe, I liked what Mohamed Diabate said at first about Lowe. He was basically saying like Jalen Lowe wasn't really talkative the first couple weeks whenever he was on campus, like during practice. He wasn't being a vocal leader, but now since he's been there, and I think probably Mark Pope and others have told him to be more vocal. Diabate said that Lowe is smart, very vocal now, and a pass first point guard who's stepping into a leadership role currently.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. But I did hear Diabate say that. I know. Um, but yeah, both of them had very high praise about those guys, and I saw at the beginning of the Jalen Lowe interview, they actually put like clips in that both the guys were talking super highly of him. I think maybe Otego was at the beginning too, but it was just kind of clips of teammates hyping up Jalen before they kind of swung it to Keith Farmer for that interview. But
Hmm.
yeah, everybody's had nothing but praise to say about Jalen Lowe.
You're not wrong. And And I know Diabate and also Aberdeen talked about the differences and similarities between their schools and everything. And the one thing uh, that Diabate mentioned, the biggest difference between UK and Alabama is Pope has been emphasized on the spacing, so making sure the team is spaced out on the court so they can get 3 point shot attempts up or be able to attack the rim. And then the other thing is wedging for rebounds. Basically, if you don't know what wedge
Yeah.
is, you box out your man and then get up there and get that rebound.
Yeah. He said that, and then I also liked how they brought up later on another difference. I think basically asked the same question, he each had a different answer. Where Mohamed Diabate said the difference between Coach Oates and Coach Pope is one is louder, but I won't say who. I'm just gonna assume, based on the interview, that it's Nate Oates that's louder because he also later said that Pope hasn't fully opened up yet. So he kind of gave a hint that that like Oates is kind of crazy once
Mhm.
they're practicing and everything. So
Yeah,
that was funny that to hear him say that towards the end.
you're not wrong. And I forgot to also mention at the very beginning of our podcast, we are interviewing Ansley Almonor. So we'll have this up right after our podcast. And he also talks about Mark Pope after the Ole Miss game where he went insane in the locker room destroying furniture. So definitely check out that interview with Ansley Almonor after this podcast. But like you said, he didn't want to mention which coach is more loud compared to the other, but most people can assume it was Nate Oates that has been the loud person, loud coach.
Yeah, no doubt. He said he didn't want to say who, and then he kind of just smiled about it, and he was like, "Yeah, we can just move on," kind of. But yeah, we all know. We all know he was talking about Oates.
You're not wrong. And we'll see if Pope, has any more frustrating moments this upcoming year, like against Ole Miss.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully he doesn't have to end up having blood on his hand going to an interview or anything. Hopefully that's all taken care of, especially defensively, with how this team has been constructed.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And we'll talk a little bit more about Diabate. He was saying that Kentucky was always his dream school, and if he could, he would have came to Kentucky right out of high school if he could, which, under John Calipari at that time, he wasn't probably recruiting Diabate, he was probably too scrawny at that time, but just to see Diabate now at UK and after what he's done at Alabama, especially this past year, I mean, every player has raved about what he did last year, about how physical he was and how it was so hard to, guard him and make sure he didn't get defensive or offensive rebounds last year against UK or any other teams.
Yeah, it was very funny hearing him like kind of talk about how relieved Pope was to have him on our sideline now. But yeah, like you said, how he was such a great leader at Alabama and he did so many great things there. And I thought it was super cool that like when he came over, Pope was like, "Yeah, we need you to do the same thing. Like you've had a very successful college career. You were a leader there. Be a leader here. Step up. Be a loud voice and a good presence in the locker room and everything."
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so I think that's super cool that he's kind of uh, lifting him into that role right off rip.
Yeah, and speaking a little bit about physicality, even Diabate, he even said it during the interview with all the reporters that he said that last year he knew UK lacked physicality and he's ready to bring the toughness this upcoming year.
Yeah, he'll do that for sure, no doubt. You texted the other day. You said he gives you a little reminder of Draymond Green, just like what he's able to bring to the game,
Mhm.
where he doesn't have to score necessarily to impact the game on a great level. So it'll be super cool. Rebounding wise, I think this team can be much better rebounding overall, but
Mhm.
defensively, what he'll be able to do, and just physically, he's just going to be able to dominate games for us. So it's going to be awesome to see what Mohamed Diabate can do now that he's playing at his dream school.
You're not wrong. And like I said, he does remind me of Draymond Green. Hopefully he doesn't have an attitude issue like Green though.
Yeah, we don't need him kicking anybody in spots or anything,
You're
or
not
stepping
wrong.
over people, and
Yeah.
we can keep all that to Draymond. Just
Yeah.
just you can play like him though.
Yeah, and then speaking a little bit more about Diabate, he was saying that he never really watched college basketball until later on in life. He was mainly watching the NBA, and he's actually a Lakers fan because the Knicks were doing so awful whenever he was growing up as a young kid. So he became a Lakers fan, and he said he's not bandwagon, but he said whenever he started to watch basketball, he started to watch UK growing up, and his main players he focused on for favorite players growing up was Hamidou Diallo, which he and Hamidou are really close together from, the Bronx area, so they're very close with each other. But also Malik Monk, Bam Adebayo, and De'Aaron Fox as well.
Yeah, I thought that was super cool. That was like, yeah, Hamidou Diallo. I also heard him refer to him as Big Bro at one point in the interview. So, like you said, they're super close. Um, But yeah, that group obviously, and he kind of referenced that group where he was like, "Man, I was watching that, and I thought that's how all college teams were supposed to be. Like those guys were
Mhm.
just special." So he was watching Kentucky back then, and he was like, "Dang, I guess college is just really good, really good players all over the place because of how good Kentucky was at the time." Um, but yeah, it was super cool. I mean, I love those guys as well, so it was really cool to hear him talk about those guys. And but yeah, Hamidou Diallo. I've also heard him reference. I don't know who it may have been that interview, but it may have been something else where he mentioned Isaiah Briscoe being one of his all-time favorites as well.
Yeah, it might have been, but I didn't hear it in the media interview. But I might have overlooked it, and didn't hear that. But Isaiah Briscoe is cool as well. Boogie Briscoe, Boogie Cousins.
Yeah, yeah. Love Briscoe, man. Legend.
Yeah, a couple more things about Diabate, and we can talk more about Aberdeen, Low, and other topics as well. But uh, as for Diabate, he describes himself as a dog who likes to rebound, defend, brings energy, and and Mark Pope believes that he could see himself as being a point forward, where he could play a little bit of point or a little bit of being a forward and bring the ball up like Amari Williams did this past year.
Yeah. I'd like to see him do that, and I know that was part of what Quaintons will be able to do for us too. So it'll be interesting to be able to have like multiple guys that can kind of be that. like point center type thing that Amari was last year. We'll have like numerous guys that can kind of play that, so we won't have to play Amari Williams type like minutes where we just have to continually play the guy. But guys like Muhammad Diabate, Jaden Quaintance, like they'll all be able to kind of play that role. But it'll be super cool to see Diabate affect the offense in that way.
Yeah, and also for Diabate, he finally passed the conditioning test, so he was so happy about that. He said that he nearly died from
Yeah,
it.
the conditioning test sounded awful. The 17s or whatever he was referring to. And I did tweet out pictures the other day where Mohamed Diabate was sitting like on the bench where he looked like he was about to pass out.
Yeah, and I think they do it just once a week because he said that he failed it last week and then he passed it this week along with Trent Noah. So both he and Trent Noah passed the test this past week.
Yeah, that's big news. Adu Thiero just got picked. That's not a Wildcat, but I still claim him. He's
Yeah,
going to the Lakers at 36.
he's going to the Lakers. That's a good pickup for the Lakers. I'm a LeBron fan, so once LeBron James retires, I don't know who I'll root for. Maybe I'll root for an NBA team that has a lot of cats on it, a lot of former Kentucky Wildcats on it. So we'll see about that. But
Yeah,
congrats
we've been blessed with having so many dudes in the league. We can kind of just pick whoever and blame it on it being because of Kentucky player.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But congrats to Adu Thiero getting drafted to the Lakers. So we'll see what happens with that. I think the Lakers need another big man, but of course we can talk about that, on a different podcast and everything. And then we'll talk a little bit about Otega Away. Diabate mentioned that getting Away back was a big morale boost for everything. He also mentioned that they already had chemistry, but they also had friendly trash talk from past matchups. So that's that's a little bit of fun having some trash talks. Of course, sadly, UK went 0-3 against Alabama this past year.
Yeah, he was trying to hide like the little smirk that he had when he was when they brought up the thing about him being part of the reason that Otega Oweh's streak ended
Yeah.
of his double digit games. He was trying to hide a little smile that he had, but yeah, now those two went at it, got after it last year against each other, and now they'll get to team up
Mhm.
and kind of terrorize other teams. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And speaking a little bit about leadership mindset, Diabate also believes being honest and making teammates uncomfortable is a key to winning because sometimes, players have to be held accountable. If they're playing terrible, somebody has to bring it up.
Yeah, no doubt. And I like that Muhammad's playing that role too. Kind of having a super big voice that guys will listen to and respect for sure.
Yeah, and just talking a little bit more about Diabate. He loves the fan support so far. He was shocked by the instant love and passion from the BBN, and he also mentioned that his favorite color is blue. He already loves wearing UK gear, and he said he felt like Fresh Prince whenever he finally got to put on that UK gear for the first time.
Yeah, I loved hearing that. That was awesome. That might have been my favorite part of the interview when he said, "I just feel like the Fresh Prince when I put the blue on. Like I just feel good, and it just feels amazing to wear the blue. Like it's just like another one of those guys that just truly like loves being here."
Mhm.
But I do have one thing, one big takeaway from the interview with him when they asked him, I don't remember where it was in the interview, but they asked him what's kind of like stood out to him or like caught his eye early on, or if there's been a player that did it, and he said Jasper Johnson. So before he went out for the under 19, he said Jasper was just like incredible. Like he
Mhm.
knew he'd be good. He didn't think he'd be on that level
Mhm.
of impressive. So that was awesome to hear. Just because
Mhm.
like I've been a huge Jasper fan, but I've heard a lot of pessimistic people kind of thinking like, well, maybe this Jasper, like maybe he wasn't a full 5 star, and maybe he won't end up being what we have in our head.
Mhm.
But hearing him say that, it's just kind of wipes away all doubt for a lot of people, I think.
Me too, and I was so surprised by On3 rankings whenever they had Braden Hawthorne ranked higher than Jasper Johnson. That blew me away. Like their final rankings of the class of what was it, 2025? Yeah, class of 2025, and they had Hawthorne over Johnson. I couldn't believe that, and I've seen Johnson play so many times, and he looked great whenever he came back to Lexington, or I should say Woodford County. I didn't go to this past year's event, but I went to the year before, and he was balling up in front of all these college coaches. Hubert Davis was there, Dennis Gates, and John Calipari. The whole Kentucky men's basketball team was there. Reed Sheppard, Justin Edwards, Adu Thiero at that time, and he was just falling up. And I'm like, how is Hawthorne, ranked higher than Johnson? And I have a lot of confidence. And for me, I could see Johnson starting at the two this upcoming year, or I could see him being the sixth man off the bench. It really just depends.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to see him play at the Titans shootout last year in the summertime when he was still trying to decide whether he was going to go back to Link Academy, go to overtime, what he was going to end up doing. He played for Woodford County in that event, and I got to meet Mark Pope that day, so it was a special day. I got to watch and I actually have a picture on my phone of where I took a picture of Jasper playing, and in the
Mhm.
background in the doorway is Malachi Moreno. So
Yeah.
little did we know those two would end up like pairing up because at that time only one was committed, but yeah, it was awesome to see Jasper. Like you said, he balled out. And yeah, like you said, I could definitely see him starting at the two this year. Just I think he's just gonna be that talented. He's that good of a shooter. He's obviously not the greatest athlete in the world, but it's not a problem at all. Like he's still there's still all the videos out there, him just dunking on people and dunking anything and everything. Um, so yeah, I could definitely see him starting, or like you said, six man. I would like to see him start,
Mhm.
kind of for reasons of like so that recruits see that they can come in and just start right away,
Yeah.
and that it's not always going to be like a bench thing. But that's kind of just like a selfish reason. So
Mhm.
whatever Pope and the staff thinks, I'd rather them obviously do what they think instead of just forcing him into the starting lineup.
You're not wrong. And we can talk about this on a later podcast, but I think four of the five players are set for starting roles whenever everybody is healthy. I go back and forth on who should start between Aberdeen, Johnson, and Williams, Ken Williams. Like, I feel like for sure it's going to be Jalen Lowe, Otego Away, then you've got Muhammad Diabate at the four, and then Jaden Quakins at the five. I just go back and forth on who should play the two and the three because you could go really small with Oway at the three and Aberdeen at the two. So we'll,
Yeah,
we'll see what happens, but I just feel like four of the five starters are set in my
yeah, I would agree with that. And also, like you mentioned, Cam Williams. Cam is huge.
Mhm.
Like he is like it's shocking how tall he is.
Yeah, he's like
Um,
6'9", but scrawny.
yeah, yeah, but I think when the season comes, I would predict that I think it'll be Jasper
Mhm.
starting at the two, but obviously it could be Denzel, could be Cam starting in that group. So like yeah, like you said, there's really a three-man like kind of mystery right there on who's going to end up starting.
Yeah, like I said, Aberdeen, Johnson, or Williams. We'll see what happens though. So that's my toss up. Last year was between who should start between Brea and Owe, and I went with Owe. So last year I was right with my starting lineup.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah. And then Diabate also, he got asked by the media what the games that he's excited for. He was speaking about how he can't wait to play in Madison Square Garden this upcoming year for the CBS Sports Classic. So that'll be exciting. But the other game he's ready to go see or ready to play against is Louisville for sure. L's down, everybody. L's down.
Yeah, forever. I'll get to actually see him when he's playing in MSG. I'll be up there with some friends for that Michigan State game. So, yeah, I hope he balls out with him kind of having his homecoming where he hasn't been able to play at MSG in his college career so far. Um, but yeah, yeah, for good reason. I'm excited to just see him play that one. But then the Louisville game is always a classic.
Yeah, and I saw the Car Chronicle. I'm blanking on his actual name, but I saw right before we started the podcast, he wants to move the Kentucky Louisville basketball game to February.
February, that would be very late.
It would be
I
very
honestly
good.
liked it in December. I thought December was perfect.
I thought so too, but maybe he thinks you're at the best of your best, in February or like right before tournament time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that, but I
Yeah.
I, I like that late December slot, like where it's in between Christmas and New Year's. I always love that.
Same here. And then just to finish up talking about Diabate, he was asked if he saw any similarities between Alabama football and Kentucky basketball, and he definitely said he does. He says he sees the passionate fans and elite expectations that both programs have.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a very comparable. thing, the two best programs in their respective sports. So, yeah, I'm glad he answered it that way because I was kind of curious when they brought that question up. But
Yeah.
yeah, the two best programs in college football, college basketball. So, yeah, I completely agree with what he said.
Yeah, and then we'll start talking a little bit about Aberdeen right now. We previously mentioned that they had a 3-hour phone call, and Aberdeen was also saying how he wanted to play for Pope and how UK reached out so fast after he put his name into the transfer portal. So that's great that UK will have him, and he could be another six-man candidate or could be the starting two. So we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have any expectations like set for him because their ceiling is endless on what he could be for this team next year. But he could also play a very, very important role where it doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. Because that's also a guy that Pope brought over and he said, don't be shy, don't be timid because these people don't really know you. Just be a leader, bring what you have from Florida and just kind of lead these guys. So that
Yeah.
was super cool to see.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And basically, his main goal is to get number nine for UK. Of course, it's all the players' goals. And basically, every player mentioned that in all the interviews that the main goal is to win number nine. So I'm glad Mark Pope is instilling that into the team. And of course, they got that banner up as well in the Joe Craft Center that says number nine, the assignment. So every player knows that they need to win the national championship to get number nine.
Yeah, I think it was in Denzel's interview where he said that, where he was like, what's kind of, I don't even remember what the question was, but he ended up saying like every single day you were reminded of like what the goal is, why you're here, to be the best version of yourself, to play for the state and the name across your chest, and to win number nine. Like, and not, he was like, it's just every single day you're reminded of that, and it's up on the wall so that you don't forget it. So,
Yeah.
that was super cool.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and just to see the renovations at the Joe Craft Center is nice. It shows that this is Mark Pope's team now, and we're leaving behind John Calipari, of course. He's at Arkansas. I wish him the best of luck, except against UK, of course. But, we're leaving the past behind, and we've got a new era under Mark Pope, and hopefully he can bring home multiple national championships, SEC regular season titles, SEC conference term champions as well. So we'll see what happens with that. Of course, it's going to be hard what John Calipari did. I mean, I forgot how many Final Fours he went to, but he went to probably like four or five. I'm blanking on the number, but he went
No, I
to
mean,
quite a few. So it's going to be hard to do that. But as long as you can win multiple chips, that's the main thing.
yeah, no doubt. And then once we get nine, I hope they make room for number 10, the assignment. What was your takeaway of the color selection in there? I love the design and everything, but it was an interesting choice to go kind of
You're
like a denim blue.
You're not wrong about the denim. And it makes me wonder if the denim jerseys will ever come back. I know there were a lot of rumors that they would be back this past year whenever UK played against Arkansas. Of course, that didn't happen. And like I said, it's interesting. I like the denim there, but UK, they have to implement the denim some way, somehow, other than the coaches wearing the pullover denims, like players have to start wearing that for practice gear or uh having jerseys.
I think we'll wear them against St. John's. I mean, it's not really like a scoop at all. It's just like I just feel like it's going to line up. It's the 30-year reunion. And they have the opportunity to do it against Rick Pitino, the coach that won that title. Um, yeah, I think we'll be wearing the denims against St. John's. The only thing I'm kind of in the boat of I don't really want those to become super super regular. Like
Yeah,
I
I
want
agree.
those to be once a year. Maybe it could be a big game or maybe even just like a small game from time to time. But like and you also got to win in those. You can't pull those out against St. John's and lose that game. But I think we'll wear them against St. John's. We could wear them before that in like a small game, kind of get a feel for them. But yeah, I think it'd be awesome to wear them against St. John's, pull them out for the first time in a while.
Yeah, or Arkansas, but I agree. Wear it once or twice a year, in my honest opinion. And the other thing I hope for Mark Pope this year, I just don't want to get down by 10, 20 points during the first half again. Like, please, like, hopefully UK can improve on that this upcoming year. Granted, I know we had a whole brand new team last year, but at least we have some similarities this upcoming year and a better team, hopefully, compared to last year. But I just got tired of getting down 10, 15, 20 points in the first half, and then we had to come back in the second half to either make it a game or come back and win.
Yeah, it made it almost like just difficult on ourselves, like digging ourselves a hole and then
Mhm.
fighting out of it. But yeah, I would like to just kind of dominate from tip to the final buzzer every single game.
You're not wrong. And for Aberdeen, though, with his championship experience, I think it's going to help out this year's team. I mean, winning the national championship this past year and then now coming to Kentucky, he can lead that championship mindset for the team because he's actually been there, competed for the national championship, and won.
Yeah, and I mean they brought up at one point in the interview about the thing that like he could be the first person to win back-to-back titles at two different schools.
Yeah,
And he kind
exactly.
of he was like, yeah, he was like, I mean, Pope doesn't really mention that, but that is true. That could be
Mhm.
it could be the case, and that would be wild if he ends up completing that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And just talking a little bit about more about Denzel Aberdeen, whenever they were on the phone call, uh, basically Pope's pitch was he had a chart of stuff that Aberdeen needed to fix, and also at that time he also said what he was good at, and he praised his defense. And the one thing that was also on that phone call was he wanted Aberdeen to lead this team like challenging him to lead the team this upcoming year.
Yeah, that was a super interesting thing where he was just like right off rip. I want you to help lead these guys. Like,
Mhm.
and I think that's probably, I mean, that's from national champion to national champion there. So he's probably thinking what he's been through is like indescribable that most
Mhm.
people don't get to experience. So, just yeah, that level of play that he's coming from, um, yeah, I like that Pope's kind of
Yeah.
implemented him and Diabate into these leader roles right away, alongside Otega and BG and these guys that returned from last year.
You're not wrong. And then for Aberdeen, he wants to focus on improving rebounding this upcoming year, but also limiting fouls and then just being more consistent on the offensive side because he said sometimes, he's really great at attacking at the rim. It's more just about finishing from there and then working on his catch and shoot from the three as well.
Yeah, I like how serious he was about adding to his like rebounding game. Like that was awesome to hear. Like that was just like you don't really hear about guys kind of taking something like rebounding very serious. Like I mean, the cliche thing is maybe like oh, I'd like to get my 3-point average up or work on different like little things. But yeah, him being so serious, he's like, yeah, I just want to like work on my rebounding. That was his first answer. So that was super cool.
Yeah, so I guess if you are better, always bet the over on Aberdeen's rebounds this
Yeah,
upcoming.
yeah, yeah. You'll be a happy man.
Yeah, you're not wrong. A couple more things about Aberdeen. Just two funny parts I found from the interview was he was asked about the Kentucky weather and he said he's already buying jackets for the Kentucky winter already. So I found that funny. And then another funny part was whenever he first met Mark Pope, he was like he was much taller than I was expecting, and he was also struggling to hug him along with Lowe whenever that happened as well.
Yeah, he said that he was like shocking. He'd never seen a coach that tall before.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that was to your first point. It's gonna be interesting to see this Florida guy, just born and raised in Florida, played at Florida. He's gonna have some fun when the winter time comes for sure, because it gets interesting
You're
in
not
that time of
wrong.
the year.
My old roommate that I went to visit back in March, I went there for a little trip with my girlfriend and I. But every winter, he would not wear anything other than shorts. He would wear a hoodie and shorts even during the winter. I'm like, where's your pants at? He's like, I'm from Florida. We don't wear pants.
I mean, that had to be miserable though.
I
What in the
know.
world?
Hey,
That's crazy.
at least he was wearing a hoodie though.
Yeah, at least. One thing that I want to mention, I guess, yeah, kind of funny, but it was kind of an interesting point where that famous picture came out. It was one of the first pictures of practices where there was like Cam Williams and him. There was different pictures of their vertical, and they said like, "What was your official measurement from that day?" He's like, "I haven't had the official measurement, but the last time I jumped, my vertical was 42 inches," and it was
Mhm.
like he just dropped that like it was normal. Like I
Yeah,
was like, dude, that's impressive. So freak of nature, crazy athlete. Yeah, we have an awesome athlete on our hands.
You're not wrong, but like you said, 42 inches, that's nothing for him, right?
Yeah, that's a walk in the park for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's 3 feet 6 inches of jumping right there.
Yeah, unreal. I could not imagine.
Yeah, I think my max vertical at my prime, like whenever I was still working out and everything, I think it was more like 28 inches for me, something like that. It wasn't that
Yeah,
high.
I've never known what mine was, but probably like 3 inches. Like
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Well, I'm 5'9", and basically the tallest I could dunk on a rim was 8'5", or 8.5, So that's the tallest I could. So what is that, 32 inches maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, my senior year of high school playing basketball, I was able to like rim graze a couple dunks. Like
Mhm.
I could probably count on two hands the amount of times I was able to like dunk. Um, but it was on a goal that was kind of the front end was a little bit lower, but I'm still counting it. But that was senior year, and I don't even know what the vertical was at that point. But like that was, I mean, I'm 6'3", and like so it wasn't a whole lot. Like I have a decent wingspan, big hand, so it kind of helped a lot. But yeah, no, I don't know what my vertical ever was.
Yeah, but you're 6'3", good Lord, that's huge. For the first time ever, Cameron Waddle ran into the Wi-Fi issues, but not me.
Oh man, yeah, a hand up. My bad. I don't know what just happened. That was chaos, but we're back. We're good.
Yeah, we're back and we want to begin. Kobe Bryant has been officially drafted. He was picked number 41 to the Phoenix Suns, so he'll be teaming up with Devin Booker as long as he doesn't get traded. But I think that's a great pickup for the Suns, and I can't wait to see what Kobe Bryant can do with that team.
Yeah, playing alongside Nick Richards too, as of right now, as long as he doesn't get traded also. But yeah, it's amazing to see him get drafted and decently high in the second round too. So that's awesome.
Mhm.
Now we wait and all eyes shift to Amari Williams.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Amari Williams, I can't wait. Who knows where he'll get drafted to? He would be a perfect backup for the Nuggets or Lakers or Bucks, like get him to an NBA contender, playoff contender, and he'll do great work being a backup, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think he's got a wide range of skills and a huge skill set that could help him succeed for a very long time at the next level.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but we'll go back to what we were talking about. But you were saying you're 6'3" though, so that's pretty tall, man.
Yeah, I'm 6'3". Yeah, I'm blessed, but it's weird because like I passed both my parents up in like middle school. I get the height from my mom's dad,
Mhm,
who's 6'4", but both my parents are under 6 foot. So yeah, it's just always been kind of funny. Everybody I talk to, they're like, "Where in the world did you get this height from?"
mhm.
But I'm always like, "Yep, my grandpa." And I actually, my whole life, I've looked similar to him. Like, so it's obvious that where I've gotten a lot of stuff from.
Your
So,
things from, yeah.
um, yeah, from my mom's dad.
Mhm.
So.
You're not wrong. And for me, my dad is probably like 6 foot, 6'1". Same with my brother. And then my mom's probably like 5'1" or 2. So I got in between at least 6'1" and like 5'2". So at least I'm 5'9". So I'll take that. I would love to be 6 foot, but hey,
Yeah,
I'm 5'9".
Yeah, no, nothing wrong with being under 6 foot. It's been nice to be taller than 6 foot because it kind of bails me out. I mean, it kind of that's part of the reason why I'm like decent at pickleball too, is my long wingspan and my height. I can kind of play that front line up by the kitchen very well. So it's been fun. It's kind of bailed me out in a lot of sports.
You're not wrong. And I've never played pickleball before. there's a park right next to me, and I always go over there and I see people playing, but I've never played. I don't have a paddle for it. I usually just join playing basketball with people, but literally the pickleball court is right there and the basketball court is right there. And I'll just go over there and, if I'm not playing basketball at that time, I'll watch other people play pickleball. And I'm like, I want to play, so maybe you can help me out and get a game for me so we can.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I still play a lot of basketball. I actually play in like a summer league, and then I mean I'll shoot around at different stuff. Like I mentioned in the first episode, I coach, so
Yeah.
I still play a lot of basketball, but pickleball is my thing that takes up so much time. Like it's like nearly a daily thing that me and a couple guys are good together. So we'll definitely have to do that sometime if I'm in Lexington or if you're over in the Louisville area.
Yeah.
It's very simple and very fun. So that's
Yeah.
what I like about it.
I hear you, and it's definitely easier than tennis and probably a little bit harder than ping pong.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It might be easier than ping pong for real.
Mhm.
it's just like there's not a whole lot to it. Like ping
Yeah.
pong, the hand-eye coordination is a lot more because it's
Mhm.
like just it's smaller and everything. But yeah, and then like you said, tennis is just very, very hard in general. But
Mhm.
pickleball is awesome. I'm a huge advocate for it.
I hear you. Well, I'll definitely try to get in. Maybe I'll just buy my own racket this weekend and try to get a game in this weekend if anybody's playing it over at the pickleball court where I live. But usually there's a lot of people, and what I just hit my face there was a gnat that hit me just now on my face. So I don't know if I
What in
killed.
the world?
Oh, the gnat is still attacking.
While we're off topic, I have a question. What drink did you get from Cookout?
Oh, I just got a Coca-Cola. I went back to my hometown, and then after that, my friend Will and I we went up to Frankfurt, got some cookout for dinner, and then if y'all have ever gone to Cold Spring Park, that's where we went to. We weren't there for a while. We were just wanted to get out of the place. I had a long day and just needed a little break after work, hang out with one of my buddies from high school that I went to. So just a Coca-Cola though.
Heck yeah. They have my favorite sweet tea in the entire fast food industry. That's why I was asking. I was like, man, Cookout sweet tea is one of one. That's my favorite.
Hey, you can't forget about their milkshakes too.
The milkshakes are good. The only thing, they're like frozen, so like you can't drink them for a long time. It's really just
Yeah.
ice cream, but they are very good though.
Yeah, one of one in my opinion. But
Yeah.
all right, to get back onto topic, we're now going to talk about good old Jalen Lowe and everything. So everybody at first, whenever Mark Pope went to Minnesota, everybody at first thought he was going to see Axel Lindeberg because he was up there at that time. But he was actually seeing Jalen Lowe. It wasn't Lindeberg. I think it was his agent that people were saying that Pope was going to see. But he actually went up to see Lowe instead. And basically what happened was as soon as Lowe hit the transfer portal, Mark Pope immediately called him. And then the next day, he went to visit Lowe, and Lowe didn't even know until like 2 hours before he was coming that he was going to see him before his pre-draft workouts and everything.
Yeah, that whole story was amazing. That was just like Pope loves this. That's like all that I was able to really take away from it. It was awesome. But yeah, Jalen Lowe said he was kind of just like stunned. And I didn't he also mention something about Pope being like insanely tall or
Yeah,
something? Like,
that's what I was saying earlier that
okay.
both Lowe and Aberdeen just mentioned how tall he was, insanely tall he was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that would be kind of the takeaway whenever you're looking at where for Denzel a combo guard, Jalen a point guard. Like when you're those guys' height, and
Mhm.
you walk up and you see Mark Pope, who's massive. Yeah,
Yeah.
that probably would be my first takeaway.
Yeah, he was 6'10" in college, but probably since he's gotten older, he's probably still 6'8", but he's still probably, gigantic. I mean, whenever I went to his introductory press conference and he was taking pictures with the media and fans, he was so tall. Sadly, I didn't get a photo with him that day. I was trying to, but he ran off before I could get a photo with him. But he was just so tall, like a whole foot taller than me, probably.
Yeah, he's absolutely huge. Like I got to meet him that one day, but he was sitting down, so I sat down next to him and just talked to him for a little bit. But yeah, I didn't get to like stand up next to him. That would have been interesting just to see because I'm taller than average, but
Mhm.
against a guy like that,
Mhm.
everybody's gonna look small.
Yeah, and this net is driving me nuts. I keep just seeing it fly, so I just need to like snatch it.
He's just trying
But
to mess with us. And then that's a Louisville fan. That's what it is.
yeah, the net is a Louisville fan for sure. And then just talking a little bit more about Lowe, one of his personal goals at UK is try to get the fifth ever triple double at UK. There's only been four. Amari Williams actually got the fourth triple double this past year, so he wants to get the fifth at UK. And he actually thought at minimum there's been 10 triple doubles at UK, but there hasn't. And he got a triple double, of course, this past year at Pitt. I think it was the fourth triple double there. I'm not for sure.
The sixth.
Sixth triple double at Pitt in history. So he's trying to be the, fifth player at UK to get a triple double. And it's happened
Yeah,
really recently. I mean, Isaiah Briscoe got it, uh, De'Aaron
De'Aaron
Fox,
Fox.
De'Aaron Fox, and of course Amari Williams as well. I don't know who the fourth player was.
Yeah, I can't completely remember who the you almost almost got it.
Almost.
Yeah, I can't remember who the first triple double was, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting that like right off rip. as soon as he said like, "Dang, it's only been four, got to make it five, or I got to be the fifth." Like that was his first immediate response. So I'm glad Keith Farmer brought that up though. So that was a really cool part of the interview.
Keith Farmer, I like Keith Farmer. He was actually at a wedding I was at like last year. One of my friends was getting married. He was in the sports industry, but he got out of that. He's actually going back to school for his master's, but I got to talk to Keith for a little bit before my friend's wedding, so that was a cool, surreal moment for me as well.
Yeah, that would be awesome. He's an
Yeah.
amazing guy from what I've seen.
Yeah, I love Keith Farmer. But just speaking a little bit more about Lowe, he credits his godfather, John Lucas, for his basketball IQ and preparation to the game. I mean, going back to John Lucas, he's one of the, great players, from past times. So just to have a godfather like John Lucas to help him be able to eventually, hopefully, get to his dreams with playing in the NBA.
Yeah, that was a super cool connection that I didn't even realize was a connection until that interview. So that was super cool. One thing that I did note from that interview that was probably just an awesome quote. I don't remember what the initial question was, but he said, "I love to play fast, and I feel like we're gonna have a lot of success with this offense." Yeah, that's kind of just the thing that people kind of talk about. They're like, man, it's super speedy. He's going to kind of control the game, and from all reports to this point, he's been better than advertised, or right at advertised. He's not like underwhelmed by any means, and so him saying he wants to play fast and feels like we're going to have a ton of success, it was just awesome to hear.
You're not wrong about that. But yeah, like you said, he believes fans will love how this team plays, energetic, skilled, and united. So I'm ready to see what this year's team can happen. I think we're like 17 weekends away from basketball season starting, so it'll still be a while.
Yeah, yeah. John Rothstein keeps us updated on that. He just keeps tweeting, "We're this many days or this many weekends, this whatever it is."
Yeah.
So that's been cool.
Yeah. So we can talk a little bit about Taylor Kinney. Taylor Kinney was, of course, class of 2026, five-star, I believe, guard. He could be a four-star, but he's either a four or five-star guard. But he visited Kentucky, and right now, Joe Tipton of On3 recently said that he thinks it's a competition between Louisville and UK, but he believes Louisville has the lead currently for Kinney, and he said that could change though after the UK visit with Kinney.
Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of what the reports are that come out of it because um yeah, Jack Pilgrim and Joe Tipton, there hasn't been like a ton of like recent updates since the visit. Um but the visit looked awesome. It looked like he had a really good time. It feels like the staff promoted Kentucky very, very well.
Mhm.
Yeah, it seems like it was an awesome visit just from an outsider's perspective.
You're not wrong. And, it would be interesting to see the Kentucky pipeline continue to happen from Reed Sheppard to Trent Noah to Jasper Johnson. And then, of course, right now, Malachi Moreno. But then to also get Taylor Kinney on this upcoming year's roster, that would be insane for the class of 26.
Yeah, and maybe even Tyron Stokes. That one we can't count out yet, but also the Louisville kid, maybe getting him over into the blue and white would be awesome as well.
Yeah, I don't want to see Louisville get both Tyron Stokes and Taylor Kinney. That would be awful. I feel like they might have a chance to beat UK. I really think UK will defeat Louisville even if Jaden Quaintance isn't healthy. I know it was a close game last year, but I also think UK will definitely beat Louisville. I think it'll be close like it was last year, but I think UK could easily beat Louisville by like 8 points or something.
Yeah, I like us against Louisville for sure. But yeah, I would definitely not like to see Louisville get those two guys. Like if they get one of them and we get the other,
Mhm.
whatever. But I do not want to. I don't want to see them get both. Like that'd
Mhm.
be terrible.
You're not wrong, but one of the funny things that I noticed actually, good old Jack Pilgrim noticed it, but he was saying that Taylor Kinney was wearing number one, and then basically his family members they were wearing custom jerseys number 6 and 7 to him being Mr. 6'7" or 6'7". So got a good laugh out of that.
Yeah, that was funny. Didn't he have his like 6'7" water on the visit too? Didn't somebody bring like a can? I want to say I saw it in a visit picture or something at some point.
Maybe they did. I didn't see that in the pictures, but you could be right.
I know Jasper Johnson just got like a big haul of it. I know they just sent him a bunch of 6'7" water. And obviously him and Taylor Kinney are pretty close. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. supporting his boys.
Let's hit up Taylor Kinney to see if we can get some 6-7 waters.
Dude, that would be awesome. Yeah, if it was conversation with Chris and Cameron brought to you by 6-7 Water, that would be amazing.
Oh, it would be great. Hey, we need sponsorship, so if you're a restaurant or anything, definitely like look at our podcast. We need the sponsorship. We need that money.
Yeah. We'll sponsor whatever. For the most part, we'll kind of look into it. But
Yeah, and then of course I know we mentioned Kentucky and Louisville as like top schools pursuing him, along with you've got Texas, Arkansas, Indiana, and Oregon as well. He plans on visiting Oregon on September 6th with other schools expecting to get visits too, including Arkansas, Indiana, and Texas.
I've always heard Purdue is kind of one that's been lingering because they've recruited him for so long. I know he's already at least done one visit there, and
Mhm.
there's maybe a chance that he does another. But yeah, there's obviously still so many schools going after him. Super special player, so he'll be a program changer wherever he ends up going.
You're not wrong. And like you said, his previous visits, he's been with Purdue, Louisville, and then of course now Kentucky. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Taylor Kinney. And then of course, we'll see what happens in the future. All I know is I'll be interested to see what they do with the renovations with Joe Kraft Center and the dorms in the future. Like that just needs to be upgraded in the near future. If like Kentucky basketball will always be the pinnacle for college basketball, but you definitely need to upgrade stuff. I mean, Trey Young's mother complained to UK about that, and that was like a decade ago now, or about a
Yeah.
decade ago.
Yeah, one last note about Taylor Kinney that I think people need to always kind of have like remembered as well was that the under 19 thing out there in Portland or whatever it was when Pope was just over there by himself. It was just him and Taylor Kinney just over there shooting a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that upset some Louisville fans. They were like, "Dude, how is this legal?" And it was like, "Well,
Mhm.
it's just a USA player working with the USA coach, just
Yeah.
talking about USA stuff, probably." So that was one important thing, and it wasn't coincidence that his visit was lined up right after they get back from that. So
Yeah,
that was super cool.
yeah, and I mean, Coach K did that with countless of recruits, like him being the USA coach helped him out so much with getting high school recruits.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's definitely not illegal by any means, but
Yeah.
yeah, and Pope's not the first to do it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap this podcast up. We're going to just quickly talk about the recent UK commits have gotten. They've gotten, of course, Dallas Dickerson. He was a three-star wide receiver. And then most recently, they got an edge player with Ben Duncombe from Texas. So UK has gotten two recruits, and they're expecting two more recruits. I'm not going to say who they are. I want them to have their moment, but expect two more commits on Friday and Sunday for Cast fans.
Yeah, that was there was somebody who's supposed to commit tonight, a 4-star receiver. Um,
I
I
think
thought
it
there was
sequel parent,
some.
but I don't think he's going to come to Kentucky. I think he's a
Okay.
lineup lock.
South Carolina. Okay, I knew he was committing. It was either tonight or tomorrow. But Damian Washington did put out that thing about saying like that GIF of I don't even remember who it was, it Jalen Ramsey maybe or Derwin James. I don't remember what the GIF was, but he was like, "I just know we ain't finished yet." And I was like, "All right, well, that's enough to get a fan base excited." Um, so
Mhm.
yeah, that was super cool to see.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but we'll wrap up tonight's podcast. But we appreciate you all watching. Make sure to watch the Ansley Almonor interview. That was great. I actually had good internet, good service during that interview and had no problems. So hopefully we can figure out our Wi-Fi issues in the future because I know at one point Cameron couldn't hear me and then also Cameron just got logged out of Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that one was like, I don't think that was Wi-Fi. I don't really know what even happened. That was just chaos. I got a call, I tried to not answer it, and then
Yeah.
yeah, it just all messed up. But one thing that I don't know when it'll happen, like you have better football inside sources than I do, but the Matt Ponatoski, like that
Mhm.
recruitment, I mean, getting a 4-star quarterback and an elite baseball player, that would
Yeah.
be awesome because that's not an in-state kid. Obviously, getting a guy like Cutter Boley is amazing, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's a guy that he did grow up here,
Mhm.
and it doesn't take anything off of him. But the fact that Matt is from Ohio, like that's just amazing. Like
Yeah.
if we can get that guy, get that man committed, hopefully soon,
Mhm.
because it was kind of between Kentucky and Oregon, and then Oregon,
Got the
uh,
latest commit.
yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah, they got to commit
I
yesterday.
think
So
either.
Yeah, something Beaver. That's all I remember from it was his last name was Beaver. But
Because everybody was like,
uh,
could you imagine if UK got a player and their last name was Cardinal?
yeah, seriously, like yeah, last name being Cardinal, it would be wild. But yeah, that's a big recruitment to watch out
Yeah.
for sure. So,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
football is crazy the recruiting that's happened. I mean, we literally, me and you, we sat here did a Vince Marrow whole thing, and we were like, well, that was our recruiter. He was very important in getting a lot of these top guys, and we've just blown the recruiting board up
yeah.
since
11,
since then.
11 commitments since, or we've got,
It's crazy.
yeah, 10 commitments, I believe, since Vince Merrill left because we had one prior. But yeah, we have, I think, 11 commitments now for Kentucky football.
That is crazy, and especially because some of it's like you mentioned from Texas,
Mhm.
Georgia, like they're not all just like Ohio and Kentucky kids. It's been
Yeah.
awesome to see us kind of recruit across the country.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I'm hoping with the motivated Mark Stoops, we'll go 6 or 7 wins this year to try to correct the past couple years. I mean, granted, we did go 7-6 previously before the 4-8, but everybody says that was a down year because of the way we lost those games. So,
Yeah, you did mention motivated Stoops. There was also the I think it was the Motivation Monday they put out. Stoops is looking really slim. He's
yeah.
looking good, looking
Yeah.
healthy, man. Like he looks awesome.
You're not wrong. And then I also saw an article real quick to see like they Nick Rouch did an article about how many SEC coaches have been golfing in June. And Mark Stoops, he's not gone golfing once in June. I think he went 4 times in May or something, but not once in June. Meanwhile, Hugh Freeze has gone like 7 times in June, and everybody's like, man, he should be fired because of how bad Auburn was last year.
Yeah, with how few times Stoops has been golfing, I might just go ahead and book SEC championship hotel tickets and stuff. I might just have to make the trip, man. I might
Yeah.
go 12-0.
12-0. Hey, if he's motivated and happy, why not 15-0?
Hey, yeah, honestly, the sky's the limit here. Let's just go undefeated, break records here.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But like you said, Steve Wilfong and also what's his name? I'm blanking on his name, not Nick Roush, Adam Luckett.
And look it.
Yeah, Adam Luckett and Steve Wilfong both have put predictions in for Matt Pontowski, I think how you pronounce his last name, to come to Kentucky. They put it in as a 60% confidence level. So not too confident, but at least it's above 50.
Yeah, enough, confident enough to put in a prediction. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But with that, we'll gladly end the podcast. We hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully you all enjoy our Ansley Almonor interview.
Yeah, it was an amazing interview. Like you said, there wasn't any Wi-Fi problems. It was an awesome interview. There was some really cool answers in there, and
Yeah,
yeah, it was awesome to talk to Ansley, now a La Familia member, which was really cool. We
yeah,
interviewed him last week, so it was very, very recent news at that time.
yeah.
But yeah, Ansley Almonor, great interview. I hope you
Hey,
guys
I
enjoy.
was right. Amari Williams, I said would be perfect for like the Nuggets, Celtics, Bucks, and he just got picked up by the Celtics with the 46th pick.
Wait, is he? So wait, is he going to? How do I keep missing these? Is
He
he
got
going to the Magic though,
he
or is
got
he going
drafted from the Magic, but traded to Boston.
going to Celtic? Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's
So
amazing. Going
two
to going
players
to
drafted from UK and with Mark Pope, that's insane. Like we went
yeah.
from probably having, maybe one player from last year's roster to potentially getting drafted with Robinson to two, that's great.
Yeah, still some time for Jackson too. Now
Yeah,
I'm getting a little eager.
you're
I'd
not
like to see
wrong.
Jackson get picked.
But all right, we'll end the podcast tonight and hopefully we'll see Robinson get drafted. If not, we'll have next week's podcast up talking about, Robinson getting picked up somewhere along with Andrew Carr, Lamont Butler, and Ansley Almonor. So we'll see what happens though. But we'll catch you all here next week. But thank you all for watching. I'm Chris Beesmore signing out.
Now I'm Cameron Waddle. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed.
We always enjoy now.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back into another episode of Conversations with Chris and Cameron. And today we are joined by a special guest. We have Ansley Almonor joining us. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you guys having me on here. How y'all doing today?
We're doing great. We
Doing well.
appreciate
Appreciate you
you
joining.
joining. All right. So let's get into it. So we're going to start out. Why did you end up committing to Kentucky, this past year?
It's just a dream, growing up as a kid to be able to play at that prestigious university, it's the biggest university when it comes to basketball. So just having the opportunity to be able to put on that jersey and just achieve one of my childhood dreams is just an opportunity I couldn't pass up on.
Understood.
Yeah, so with you going to Kentucky, you've now got yourself in the Kentucky family for life, whether you like it or not. But you did join La Familia recently, so you're playing with the TBT team that was announced Monday. Super exciting news. I think you probably saw a little bit of the fan base's reaction. Everybody's super excited about it. What's the thing you're looking forward to the most with joining the TBT team?
Just looking forward to be able to play in front of BBN again, just representing University of Kentucky one way, in a different way. Doesn't matter what way it is, just being able to represent that university when it comes to playing basketball is just a privilege. So I'm looking forward to really being able to play in front of fans again.
Understood. And have you been talking to any of the current teammates on La Familia?
Not really, not yet, but definitely as the games come closer, I'll definitely reach out and get to know some of those guys.
hmm And was there a certain player that you looked up to playing at UK that's currently playing with La Familia right now?
Yeah, a few of the guys, just watching the Harrison twins growing up. It's definitely a surreal moment being able to actually play on the same court with them. Willie Cauley-Stein too, just watching him put on the Kentucky jersey back in the day, just definitely just a surreal moment to be able to play with some of those guys. Even other guys on the team too, I looked up to. So it's just a great opportunity.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's gonna be sweet. I definitely can only imagine what it's gonna be like, kind of lacing it up with those guys. But that's the current day. Let's go a little bit in the past. I'm sure you've been asked about this a billion times, but you were a part of probably the biggest upset in this sport's history. So, um, yeah, you played on a team that made NCAA history for numerous reasons. There was out of 363 Division One college basketball teams, it was the shortest average height. But I remember the commentator that night, he said they were the shortest team in college basketball, but they played with the biggest heart that night. What do you like? What does that game mean to you? Like, I know that's going to be a lifelong memory that you'll be able to tell family and friends about forever. But like, what does that game mean to you, and what's it like? How are you going to like cherish that game?
It's just I always look back on that moment. So thankful that I was able to, achieve that accomplishment with my brothers. It was definitely, like you said, biggest upset. So just being able to be a part of that is such a privilege. We worked so hard to get to that moment, and just being able to achieve that and you know make March Madness history is just something we never really dreamed of. So just being able to do that is just a great opportunity, and we're just so grateful and thankful that we were able to, accomplish that as a group.
And how was it guarding Zach Edey? Was he one of the toughest players you've ever had to guard?
Yeah, it definitely was. He's way taller than me, bigger. So it was tough. It definitely tired me out throughout the game, but we had a great team. We had some great depth, so we had other guys come off the bench help out, and it was a full team effort winning that game that night. So, it was a great experience.
And you
You
can't.
mentioning your teammates. Are you still in contact with a lot of those guys? Are you still close with
Yeah,
them?
definitely still in contact with a few of my guys for sure. Yeah, most of them were still in contact, definitely from that team. So, those are my brothers. I love all of them. So it was a great experience, and we'll always cherish that together.
hmm Understood. And then can you talk about, you went to Fairleigh Dickinson to Kentucky. How did that shape your game and prepare you to play at Kentucky this past year?
At the end of the day, it's just basketball. Just always working on my game, having the work ethic that I have. I feel like that really prepared me coming into University of Kentucky because obviously there's different conference levels and stuff like that. But at the end of the game, we were all basketball players, so it wasn't too bad of an adjustment or anything like that. Once you got on the court, we just hooped. So yeah.
hmm
Yeah, he mentioned the transition you made from Fairleigh Dickinson to UK. The biggest difference I would imagine, other than the chaos of Big Blue Nation, but Rupp Arena has 18,693 more seats in it than Fairleigh Dickinson's home arena. So what was that kind of? I know you played in March Madness, and I'm sure you've played in many massive arenas, but that's half your home games. You're playing in an over 20,000 seat arena. So what was the difference in like the arena and just the feel of home games?
Yeah, that was a great adjustment. Um, it was just it wasn't something that I really thought of on a day-to-day basis, but like just going out there and like playing in front of just so many fans and hearing them chant your name and stuff like that is just a great feeling. Just it was something to get used to, but it's pretty you get used to it pretty quick because people are just so welcoming and it's just a great feeling and just be able to have those guys, everybody in the crowd on your side.
And
Yeah, no
talking a
doubt.
little bit about that, you had your like breakout game against Mississippi State. It felt like, going to the SEC regular season, part of that. How was that? How was the crowd? I know it must have been electric there.
Yeah, that was probably the toughest road environment we played in this year, in my opinion. It was a sold out crowd, Saturday night game on national television. It was a great environment. I had a pretty good game that game, helped us win the game, helped us pull out that tough W. So, it was definitely a great experience. That game definitely shows you what the SEC is about, especially playing on the road in the SEC. It's no joke. People don't really understand. Doesn't matter what game it is, doesn't matter where you're playing at, it's no joke. So, definitely a great experience then too.
Mhm.
Yeah, you mentioned that one being a very tough road environment and everything. Outside of Zach Edey, because I feel like that could maybe be an obvious answer, but you played a ton of talent this year. Who would you say, college or high school, just at any point, who was the toughest player you ever had to guard?
Yeah, I mean, probably high school, Jonathan Kuminga was probably the toughest player to guard. He was a man amongst boys, for sure.
Okay, how many did he score in that game?
He had like 30.
30.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me though. Like we were all taking turns, but like I definitely had the guard for some of his possessions, and it was he
Mhm.
diff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about Kentucky. I know you made history this past year. You shot 50% from the field, 40% from three, and 90% from the free throw line in a single season. What do you attribute to, that efficiency from this past year?
Well, just hard work. Definitely, just taking a lot of time to master my craft. A lot of preparation, day in, day out. Staying true to my routine. Doesn't matter how many minutes I'm playing, or it doesn't matter who we're playing. Just always having the same routine, sticking to the routine, and not letting anything sway me.
Hmm. Understood.
Yeah,
And
super efficient.
mhm, you're not wrong. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that Mississippi State game. Was it you or one of the assistants that said that you needed to shoot a little bit less pre-game? And of course, you had that breakout game.
Yeah, it was one of my assistants, Coach AB, definitely told me that game, like literally the game before. So, I took that into account, listened to what he said, and then, rest is history.
You're not wrong, and it was a great game for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you mentioned that game. What would you say? It could be either one moment, one play, or one game in general. What would you say the your favorite memory that you'll kind of hold on to from this last season was?
I'll probably be in Tennessee at home, sweeping them in the regular season. That was a big accomplishment. They're like our big rival. So being able to sweep them, especially in front of our home fans, has been done in a little while. And just feeling the energy and rep that night, it was just a great environment, great experience for sure.
Yeah, and then of course having the high school recruit with Nate Emmett there. Of course, he didn't commit to Kentucky, but just having that recruit there, just seeing that and saying Mark Pope can win the big games and recruit as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, with Tennessee, I'm sure you were. I know Pope's probably done an incredible job, kind of letting everybody know like when they come on campus what the rivalries mean. Which one do you hate a little bit more, Louisville or Tennessee?
That's a great question. I hate
You got to
probably.
beat them both, so
Yeah, we did. I don't know. I hate both of them.
yeah,
Maybe Tennessee. I just didn't like the. I mean, it's tough. I don't like Louisville either. I don't like either of them. It's just I equally hate them.
Really hate.
yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. What was the biggest adjustment for you moving to the Kentucky basketball program? Like you said, you went from a smaller school with Fairleigh Dickinson to Kentucky.
Just really. I mean, probably just the speed of the game. I guess you could say the speed and the size of guys in that game is a lot different. But it didn't take too long to really get adjusted to that. Summertime. Got rid of all of that adjustment period. So definitely was able to adjust pretty quickly thanks to coach and all that.
Understood. And I know it was Mark Pope's first ever off season last year, but how was the training in the summertime? Like, I know he always talks about trying to get players under their time for, running in the gym, doing suicides or whatever.
Yeah, last year was it was great. You know, it got a lot better. You know, did a lot of team bonding, did a lot of stuff on the court, off the court. You know, I feel like it was very, very beneficial to our season, how he structured last year and stuff. So yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty good.
Let's see.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Coach Pope already. What was kind of the draw outside of just Kentucky? What was kind of the draw to like go play for him? Like what's the maybe it was in recruiting or just through small talk or something, but what was like something that drew you closer to Pope that made you like want to play for him?
Definitely just his play style at his previous school. Just seeing how many threes they shot, how they played. The play style was definitely appealing to somebody like me. You know, who my strength is definitely shooting threes and just liking to play out of emotion type of offense and stuff like that. So I feel like that was something that really drew me.
That's good. And I don't know, have you ever heard of Trilly Donson before?
Yeah, Trey Donovan. Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying, I know before you committed to Kentucky, you had a silent commitment to Siena. I don't know if you could talk about that at all, but that's what he was bringing up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, I guess you could kind of say that. But things happen though.
I hear you.
Yeah, I think everything worked out for the best though. Happy to
Yeah,
have you.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
Going with Coach Pope a little bit. Do you have like a story that you could share, like maybe something behind the scenes, or something with a practice, maybe something at a halftime of a game that you think will just stick with you that you could share with us?
I mean, after when we were losing to Ole Miss, he like broke ta when he lost to Ole Miss, he like broke tables and like he was bleeding and stuff. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not really his character. He doesn't really act like that. But after that Ole Miss game, he definitely
hmm Yeah, and I remember in the post game you could see blood on his wrist, and that was crazy. And do you think after that Ole Miss game, like you all focus a lot on the defensive side because the defense really improved after that game?
yeah, he just took it personal. That's what his statement was. You just had to take it personal after that, and then after that we took it personal,
Mhm.
moving forward throughout the year, and then we just got much much better.
Mhm. And could you talk about the team chemistry that you all had this past year? Everybody was basically brand new to Mark Pope's team. How was that?
It was great. Coach did a lot of stuff to, help us do a lot of team bonding in the off season. Make sure that we were in a camaraderie, make sure we were close together, and it worked. So yeah, definitely it was definitely something that he put an emphasis on once we first got to campus, and we left there as a family.
It's great to leave as a family for sure.
Yeah.
Cameron, do you have anything else?
I have something that just kind of this is a not off topic by any means, but I did hear you. I've heard you say a couple different guys, but I think it's been pretty consistent. Is Carmelo Anthony your favorite player of all time?
Yeah, of all time, yeah, Carmelo.
Okay, is that why you wore 15?
Uh, yeah, because I like there's no other like good options that I like. No other primary options, so I went with 15 because he's my favorite player.
Mhm.
Okay, what was it about him that kind of like drew you to him? Was it the New York Mellow, or were you also like Nuggets Mellow before that,
It
and
was
just
really
kind of always liked him?
just him coming to New York. He inspired a lot of kids my age. The Knicks weren't really relevant growing up. So him just putting that spotlight on the city, putting the spotlight on New York basketball and stuff like that, it just drew me close to him. And I'll never let anybody talk down on him like that because he inspired me. He inspired a lot of people in my generation, my age, and yeah.
Mhm.
Does it bother you a little bit that this next generation kind of thinks LaMelo Ball was mellow?
No, it bothers me a lot. It bothers me a lot, but
It bothers me a little bit, so I know it's got to
Yeah.
get to you. So
these kids they don't know they're too young, man.
I don't
Yeah.
know about Melo.
Yeah. And are the Knicks your favorite NBA team?
Yeah, from New York, so naturally Knicks fan.
Yeah. Were you disappointed when they fired Tom Thibodeau after this year?
No, I was happy. I needed him to go.
Who do you
Really?
think they might hire? Do you have a
I don't know who
preference?
they're gonna hire though. I feel like we should have had a plan before firing him.
Mhm.
I thought it was time for Tom to go.
Yeah.
So were you excited seeing a former Cat, seeing Cat get traded over there and play for New
Yeah,
York?
yeah, yeah. It's actually cool. I was happy when that happened. Yeah.
It was a
I
cool
think I
move. I was
traded
excited
for
for it.
another former cat, to be honest. It was just two
That is
cats.
true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Julius leaving, but yeah, that it was cool to see Cat there,
Yeah.
seeing him ball out in New York.
Yeah, hopefully Cat doesn't get traded again. I know there were a lot of reports
Yeah, we'll
after
see.
the series that his defense was terrible. I'm like, he can't do it all, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What were your goals or the team goals this past year at UK?
Just trying to win a national championship was our goal. That was my goal too. Help the team any way I can and just try our best to win a national championship. We're at number 9 for BBN.
Understood. And I know it fell below expectations. And do you think potentially with a healthy team, that team was the Final Four team?
Sure, like that was definitely our Final Four team. Healthy. Like that's not even like a question.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely missing Jackson Robinson, who could defend anybody if he wanted to, like the guards or the forwards, not centers, but he could guard 3 and D, and then Kirk Kriisa, of course, he got injured, and I'm glad he has one more year of eligibility at UC, so we'll see what he can do there.
Yeah, he's got to turn up for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, unfortunate, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, with this last season, I think there was kind of it was a all season. It felt like all over social media, people were trying to figure out like a certain name for this group. Like, there's the Unforgettables, there's the Unbeatables, there's all these nicknames for teams for special groups in the past. You are a part of a very special group. I've thought always it's kind of just the foundation because it was
Yeah.
like the first year of Pope. It reestablished everything. I don't know if you could really like feel that with the fan base, but yeah, I think it was just like the the home games, the energy was just a little bit different. Like I've been the last few years, went to some this year, and just the energy was very different. So it was I've always called it like the foundation, but I don't know if had seen anything on social media throughout the year, people trying to come up with like nicknames of the
Yeah, I
team.
heard all bunch of different names. The foundation kind of sounds cool. I like that one.
Hmm.
That's what I like. Just because I was like, man, that's necessary. That's a necessary name because it was the group of like, to be honest, not a lot of Kentucky fans knew some of the names, but once they got here, all of you all hold a special place in everybody's hearts, and yeah, it's what a special group.
Yeah,
Yeah, appreciate that, man.
you're
Appreciate
not
that.
wrong. And what do you expect for this upcoming year's team?
And to be honest, to go and build on what we started last year. Try to go win number 9, go win national championship. Coach did a great job recruiting the team. I know he's gonna do a great job coaching them, and we'll see how far they go.
You're not wrong, and hopefully it's a championship this year. Gotta get number 9.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah, I think you all deserve a ring if they do get a championship here soon because y'all started
and
it.
not for sure. We hope
yeah,
so.
you all
So,
started, so definitely should get a ring. But just talking a little bit about your family, I know you've mentioned your father as a major influence in your life. Can you share how he has impacted your basketball journey and the values he installed in you?
yeah, he just it's not even basketball, just always just hard work. Some hard work. Those right virtues in me. Just always telling me that anything you want in life, you got to work for it. Nothing's given to you. You got to go earn everything you want. Um, always telling me to take accountability for my actions, take accountability, and don't point fingers. I feel like stuff like that. It's just things that go a long way. Especially growing up as a man in this society. So, he taught me so much. Basketball wise, he's just been there every step of the way. He's been at every game he can. Been at every practice, every training. He's always been there, and he's done everything he can do to help me get to where I want to go when it comes to playing basketball. So I just thank him and I appreciate him for everything he does.
Mhm. Understood. And I know you have a pregame superstition of praying. How important are rituals to your performance, and do you have any other routines that help you get into your zone?
No, I mean, I don't really have any rituals. Like, I just like I said, I just pray for every game, but I pray every day, so it's not like something crazy. But no, yeah, I don't really do rituals. I would say. Maybe take a nap. I mean, it really just I don't. It just depends on my mood. So I really don't have a certain ritual where I'm like, oh, I have to do this for the game.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, I put in work. We'll put in work all year long. So that when the game, when the lights are bright, I'm there to perform. So like the ritual is help me perform or not. That's how I feel. So I just go out there and play hoop.
Was there like a specific artist or anything that you would listen to at all?
Nah, it depends on my mood of the day.
Mhm.
Yeah, it depends on the mood. I didn't know if there was a certain specific one, but
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that.
Mhm. And how important is your faith to you?
That was very important. That's something. My dad, obviously, my grandparents, just always, my parents always, instilled in me growing up. How important that was, and just, I just as I got older, definitely built my own relationship with God, with the Lord. So it's definitely something that I don't take lightly, and it's something that's very important in my life.
Mhm.
It has been super cool to see you be like bold with your faith too. With I remember the senior video where they had you all like call your younger self or whatever, and you said in that video, keep going to church, and keep growing closer to the Lord. So it's been super cool to see you be very courageous and bold with your faith through this big journey and all the bright lights and everything, not being ashamed at all.
Yeah, not for sure. No, I can't be ashamed. So, yeah.
Hmm. Understood. And I know UK, they have a great social media team. I mean, could we talk about everything that they've done? I know before the Louisville game, they had former players write to players, currently on the team. How was that moment?
That was cool. I got my letter from Tayshaun Prince. It was actually pretty cool to be able to get letters from, former stars. So, they did a great job this past year. They're just great people. They know what they're doing. They do a really good job. So, shout out to them.
Mhm. And we've been talking about basketball and everything, but beyond your college career, what are your aspirations, outside of basketball, or if you still want to play basketball overseas, or, try to get on an NBA team?
I mean, yeah, just obviously trying to continue to play as long as possible. So, just trying to continue my career. I don't know, after basketball, though, I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I'm just gonna play until I can anymore.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
have
I would imagine your faith probably holds a big part of that, where it's kind of I guess some unknown of like where the next step will be basketball wise, because yeah, you'll have the opportunities. You're a special player, but I'm sure being strong in your faith probably plays a big role in that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does, especially when times are tough, a lot of uncertainty and stuff. It's good to just try to lean on the Lord, help him direct you and guide you to where you need to go.
I understand completely. Yeah, praying is definitely big, even whenever you're going through a bad time, or even when you're going through a great time in life, for sure. Have you been working out with any NBA teams currently so far?
No, not yet. Just been working out on my own, trying to get better, trying to, wait for my opportunity. It's, hopefully get some calls soon, get some opportunities with some NBA teams, but if not, go overseas and like I said, just continue my career and continue to play and continue to get better because that's the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe playing with La Familia this upcoming summer with La Familia or with TBT that could really help you out to also
Oh,
get
yeah, yeah,
noticed.
maybe that could help me out too, for sure, for sure.
Uh, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. You enjoy playing video games in your downtime. How do you think your interest outside of basketball contribute to your overall well-being and focus on the court?
It just helps me get away from the game. It's something like an escape. Sometimes the game can be so intense and so much pressure-filled moments and so much stress and do stuff. So just being able to separate and just, play some video games, hang out with my family, my friends, my girlfriend, stuff like that to just help me get away from the reality.
Understood.
Yeah, we mentioned a couple of different guys. You mentioned Tayshaun Prince, and then we brought up Cat, Julius Randle, whatever. Um, this may be kind of tough to come up with a quick five, but what would your all-time Kentucky starting five be?
Isaiah Briscoe, Shea, D-Book, uh, AD, and Boogie Cousins.
Mhm.
No more Pope,
He's six man, six man.
six man. Okay.
Why did those players make your lineup?
I just like the way they play. To be honest, it's just I like the way Shea plays, like the way D-Book plays. Uh, and then Isaiah Briscoe was just, growing up, he was just a very big star back in the tri-state. So just watching him play throughout high school and stuff like that, definitely idol, I guess you could say. And then I love Anthony Davis's game, especially when he was at Kentucky, and Boogie is just Boogie. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Were you surprised when AD got traded for Luca? Like, I think everybody was.
yeah, I was actually at Rupp. Like it was right after our game. It was so crazy. I remember it so vividly. It was literally so. Who we played that day? It was after we played.
Is it Arkansas?
Oh, good talk. Right after we played Arkansas. I remember it was after
Yeah.
that. after I lost my parents were there after Arkansas. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, that did distract from the game a little bit though. So that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more off the court. I know you've mentioned pizza and chicken wings as your favorite foods. If you have a meal with any best, if you could have a meal with any basketball player, past or present, who would be and what would you eat?
Mm, I'll probably go with a steak dinner with Kobe.
Kobe. Okay.
R.I.P. Kobe. Yeah. I remember where I was at exactly when he passed. Like that day was crazy. Like I was heading to WK, or I was at WKU at the time, and we were going to our student gym we had on campus, and then my friend gets a phone call, and he's like, "Kobe just died," and I'm like, "Huh? Kobe Bryant?"
Yeah,
And
it
Yeah.
then
was wild.
yeah, do you remember where you were at that
Yeah,
day?
I was working out. I was working out, and one of my trainers just said, "Oh, yo, Kobe just died," and it was just kind of crazy.
Yeah. And I know my friends and I, we always talk about this, but we were up big against like these players we were playing. We were just playing pickup and we were up like 20-5 or something, and we couldn't finish the deal. They came back and won like 24-20. It was crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Just
So
so
what was I do have a question for you because this is kind of a hot topic with just I think modern day recruiting and also a mix of like when you were still coming up. What was like COVID like as you were coming up through like the recruiting ranks and like just trying to get to like kind of figure out like is that's such a impactful time in your life? Like what was it like playing basketball through all of COVID and everything?
Yeah, it was tough. It was definitely an experience. A lot of people don't understand it. It messed up a lot of people's recruiting. It definitely affected mine. Everybody's going back to school, so coaches weren't really recruiting from high school. Nobody's really pulling the trigger, and games are just always getting canceled. Always have to take COVID tests and stuff. It was just a crazy experience. I'll never forget it though.
yeah.
But it was definitely a crazy experience.
I hear you completely. Yeah, COVID was definitely not fun. It hit me like my junior year of college, so I still had one more year of college before, I got done. And luckily, my graduation was fine at WKU at that time.
Cool.
Yeah. Uh, we can talk a little bit more. How did you handle expectations from this past year from, the fan base along with the coaching staff, whether they were hard on you or another player during practice or a game?
Just trying to focus on just getting better every day. Controlling what you can. Try to control what I can control. Everything else. Just let God take care of it. So, just try not to let that get into your head. Obviously, you hear it, the noise sometimes, social media and people, stuff like that, but just trying your best to tune that out, stuff like that.
Yeah, and what do you tell players who are on social media a lot and, our fan base, they can be hard on players. Like I know they've been hard
Yeah,
on
they're
plenty of players, but what can you say about that?
definitely hard on players. Try your best to just block out the noise. Don't even look at it. It's a whole bunch of people who don't really know what they're talking about, giving their opinions and shouldn't be affecting us, who've been playing our games our whole lives. So it's tough to do, but like it's just, try to think about that when you look at those things.
Understood. And talking a little bit more about history, I mean, what was your reaction whenever John Calipari left UK to go to Arkansas? Like, I remember I was coming home from the weekend whenever I heard the news.
Yeah, it was crazy to be honest. I couldn't even believe it. I was on Twitter. I forgot where I was though, but that was crazy though.
Mhm,
That was a crazy, definitely,
It's a wild butterfly effect for you too.
yeah, crazy butterfly effect.
mhm.
Crazy.
That's amazing. So with another guy with some New York connections, Rick Pitino, that was obviously Coach Pope's coach, and he came to visit. It was before the season last year, wasn't it? It was
Big Blue
I think
Man.
just before. Well, yeah, Big Blue Menace also, but he came to a practice, didn't he?
Yeah, it was right after Big Blue Madness.
Okay. So what would kind of is there anything that he kind of shared with you all, maybe about Pope or just something to help kind of I don't know, spill some wisdom or anything? Was there anything that he shared that kind of stuck out to you?
I just remember I remember something I remember he said he was like you're only as good as your defense. Like that's what he told us. He definitely had to learn that throughout the season, but that was a good gem that he left with us for sure.
Mhm. Understood. And what was it like whenever Rick Pitino came out during Big Blue Man? It's like, did y'all expect him to come at that time or no?
No, I didn't expect it. It was crazy. it was crazy to see him there. So it
Yeah.
definitely
And
surprised
can
me.
we talk about Big Blue Madness too? I mean, like that was the first year they've ever used what LED courts or whatever. I mean, how was that? I know the fans were electric, and I've been to plenty of Big Blue Madnesses in my life, and like I felt like that was one of the best in the past, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah, it was a crazy experience. I mean, obviously I only went to one, but that was a crazy, crazy experience. The court, the media, the crowd, it was, even like the introductions was they were just all tough. So
Yeah, I loved the introductions you all coming out up through the stands. That was such a cool like little feature that y'all had done. What song did you come out to?
I came out to Many Men, I think.
Any man?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that introduction was super cool. But one thing that just kind of popped in my mind, I don't know if this is how your recruitment was, but how was your like recruitment with Pope? Because I know there's been certain guys that he's done the thing where he takes them up to the top of the stands and then talks about them.
Yeah.
How was your just recruitment in general with Kentucky?
No, yeah, it was cool. We did that when I came. He took me to the top, showed, just like it was crazy. It was a great visit when I came out here. So I committed just all my visit basically. Showed me everything, showed me around, and it was a great experience to be honest with you. All the coaches, they liked me. I liked all the coaches, had good chemistry, good vibe. My parents liked them and stuff. So it was just a good recruitment process all around.
Hmm. And did he know anything about Mark Pope before he took the job at UK, before, of course, he started to recruit you in the transfer portal?
I just knew like I just heard about his BYU teams. I don't really know anything about him personally, to be honest.
Mhm. Yeah, and then of course I know UK fans overreacted once he got hired, but then after a few days everything became chill. Was there a favorite saying that you have from Mark Pope? I know he's had a few that he's used.
The magic is in the work you're avoiding. This is probably my favorite one for sure.
Mhm. And can you explain why?
Well, it's just what life is about. Everything you want is right behind. Just the work that you just don't want to do because it's just too hard or it's too time consuming or it's just too something.
Mhm.
So the magic, but what all the results you want, all the magic you want is right there in the work you're trying to
Mhm.
step out on.
Mhm. And do you think if Mark Pope wasn't coaching, he would be a great motivational speaker?
Uh, yeah, he'd be pretty good to be honest.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add, Cameron?
Now, I guess I was trying to think of a kind of a question to ask about the impact that the assistants had because it was a big deal getting all these different like types of assistants and like what they're like very good at. What's like I guess kind of the roles that you were able to notice. Like was there like one assistant that like really made an impact on your life? Like whether it was basketball, outside of basketball, like you mentioned Coach AB earlier, but was there like one specific assistant coach that holds a special place in your heart?
I mean, nah, they're all great. I definitely had a special connection with AB and Mikhail, but Coach Feeks, is a great guy. Still texts me. Coach Fox still texts me too. Jay Hart, all they're all, even Nick Robinson, all of them, just great guys. Great staff. It's like a perfect staff, perfect storm. Love all those guys. So
Hmm.
can't
Yeah.
complain.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah, it's only a
excited
matter
that,
of time until they take jobs elsewhere, but it'll be exciting to see them go succeed somewhere else.
Mhm.
That's also true. Yeah.
Are you excited that McLean is back for another year? I know he got an extension after this past year.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him, That's my guy for sure. So he
Hmm.
deserves it. Like he just said, it's only a matter of time before he
Hmm.
gets
And,
done.
and how do you think the coaches, not just Mark Pope, but also the assistants helped to develop you this past year?
They're just so smart. They have great basketball minds, different viewpoints, different levels of experience. Just always going over film and being there in practice, giving us little pointers and stuff. Even having Jay Hart playing in the NBA, giving us just little tips. They all help. So, it's definitely they definitely all did a great job.
Yeah, I guess I have one last question. Obviously it's not like a going away message because you'll still be around with La Familia and you'll still get showered with love from all of BBN. But is there like one message that you have for BBN?
No, just thank you again for embracing me with open arms. You know, showing me so much love. Always supporting me, supporting us through the ups and the downs. You know, being by our sides and just being the best fans in the country. So thank you. You know, can't wait to represent you guys again and hopefully more later down the line. And just love you guys.
Mhm. Thank you so much. One real quick question. Who do you think was the funniest teammate on this past year's team? It could be even you.
Probably Kurt. Kurt was funny. Kurt was probably the funniest.
Yeah. Do you have any funny story you could say that's appropriate?
Nothing that's appropriate. No, but he was funny though. He's a funny.
Yeah.
Nothing that I can say. Oh, no.
Yeah, I
All right, so go
remember I
ahead.
saw him one night at Central. It was him, Grant Darbyshire, and it was somebody else I forgot,
Walker.
but I just said,
Walker.
"Hey, what's up?" You know?
Yeah, it's probably him, Grant and Walker. They used to hang out a lot.
Yeah. Well, we can let you be, but we appreciate you joining our podcast tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, that wraps up another episode with conversations with Chris and Cameron. We hope you all enjoyed it. We had a great interview with Ansley Almonor. Did you have a great time, Cameron?
Oh yeah, loved it. Hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did. It was super fun to get to talk to Ansley and recap kind of a great year, and then looking forward to TBT a little bit.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And hopefully, we can get some more former players on the podcast. We've reached out to some former players, along with some former Kentucky football players, because, football season's right around the corner as well. But if y'all definitely enjoyed this podcast, definitely either like and subscribe on YouTube, but also follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. But thank you all for watching and listening.